Digestive system. At the end of this video, you will be able to define the digestive system, list of the various digestive organs, explain the GI tract, describe the structure of the stomach, explain the structure of the small intestine, describe the structure of the large intestine. Believe it or not, a good grinder is the most important instrument in every home. They are useful, especially in Indian cuisine, for grinding food grains to produce a paste or batter. Similarly, in our body, we also grind and mix food we eat to absorb the nutrient from food. A group of organs working together to mix, grind, and convert food into energy and basic nutrients to feed the entire body is called the digestive system. The digestive system is made up of the gastrointestinal tract, that is, GI tract, or an alimentary canal, and accessory organs, which help in the process of digestion and absorption. GI tract is formed of primary digestive organs and accessory digestive organs. GI tract, its tubular structure extending from the mouth up to the anus, with a length of about 30 feet, or 915 centimeters. It opens to the external environment on both ends. Primary digestive organs are the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. Accessory digestive organs are teeth, tongue, salivary glands, exocrine part of the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. Let us look in the first part of the GI tract is mouth or buccal cavity. The buccal cavity is a large space bounded above by the palate, below and on the sides by the jaws. The throat supports the tongue. The jaws bear teeth. The buccal cavity is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. Next important part of the gastrointestinal tract is pharynx. It is about 12.5 centimeters in length. It is the common portion inside the throat for the passage of air and food, etc. It is divided into three regions, namely oropharynx, nasopharynx, and laryngopharynx. The trachea opens into the larynx, and from there into the laryngopharynx through the glottis. A cartilaginous flap called epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the glottis during swallowing. Tonsils present in the pharynx, and the oral cavity arranged in a ring-like manner, known as Waldeyer's ring. Eustachian tubes, from the middle ear cavities, open into the nasopharynx. Next, we will learn about another gastrointestinal tract organ, that is, esophagus. The esophagus extends to the neck, thorax, and abdomen. It is a 25 centimeters long fibromuscular tube, lined with a mucous membrane. The contraction and expansion movements of its wall, called peristaltic movements, cause the food to pass into the stomach. It does not do any digestion of food, as no enzyme is secreted in the esophagus. Next, we will focus on another important organ called the stomach. J-shaped organs. Most extensible part of the alimentary canal. Peristalsis is maximum in the stomach. Bolus gets churned, and, due to peristalsis movement, it gets converted into a semi-liquid substance and is called chyme, and it is further digested. The stomach is a hollow muscular organ, consisting of the following parts. They are cardia, fundus, body, and pylorus part. Let us focus on the main gland in the stomach called the gastric glands. These glands are maximum in number, compared to other gastric glands, and are found in the mucus of the body and fundus of the stomach. The glands possess short ducts and long alveoli, for example, body. The alveoli contain chief, or peptic, or zymogen cells that secrete pepsinogen and parietal, or oxyntic cells that secrete HCl. Chief cells. Pepsinogen is secreted as an inactive protein, which is converted into active pepsin by acid, hydrochloric acid. Curdles milk pepsin acts on water-soluble caseinogen, that is, milk protein, to form soluble casein. Parietal or oxyntic cells. These are found, chiefly in the body of the stomach. Oxyntic cell secretion is a clear colorless fluid that contains hydrogen ion concentration equivalent to 0.17 NaHCl with pH as low as 0.87. The parietal cells also secrete an intrinsic gastric factor, which combines very firmly with dietary vitamin B12 and helps in its subsequent absorption from the small intestine. The surface epithelium of gastric mucosa consists of columnar or mucus cells, which secrete mucus and bicarbonate ion. Mucus is made up of glycoproteins or mucins, which is a gel-like substance, alkaline. It lubricates the food and coats the mucosa. This mucus, along with bicarbonate ion, serves a protective function, preventing damage to the mucosa of the stomach by acid or peptic digestion. The surface of the gastric mucosa is pitted by the opening of gastric glands called gastric pits. There are approximately 100 pits per millimeter square of the gastric mucosa. Argentaphon cells and gastrin cells are present in the basal part of the gastric glands. Functions of stomach. Storage. The stomach serves as a reservoir for the food ingested. Food remains in the stomach for several hours and passes gradually into the intestine. Digestive, nutritive substances undergo chemical changes by its secretory activity, which provides the required enzymes and HCl for the initial digestion of proteins. HCl kills many of the ingested bacteria. The intrinsic gastric factor is necessary for the absorption of vitamin B12 from the small intestine. Food is released at a controlled steady rate into the duodenum to provide proper time for digestion and absorption by the small intestine. The next important organ in the digestive system is the small intestine. The small intestine is the major site of digestion and absorption of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Here, the intestinal contents are mixed with intestinal juice and with pancreatic juice and bile. Digestion, which begins in the mouth and stomach, is completed in the lumen and mucosal cells of the small intestine. The mucosal surface of the duodenum and small intestine is adapted to provide a huge area for absorption. Its mucosa shows maximal folding folds, being known as pliques circulaires. Mucosa shows finger-like projections of approximately 1 mm height called villi. There are 20 to 40 villi per millimeter square of the mucosa. These are covered by a layer of columnar cells, which possess a brush border, consisting of microvilli, increase the absorptive surface area of the small intestine to about 2 million centimeters square. Each villus, in its core, contains a lymph vessel, that is, lacteal, continuous with lymphatic plexus of the submucosa. Smooth muscle fibers, continuous with muscularis mucosa. An arteriole and venule, with irrelevant capillary plexus. Between villi are the intestinal glands, which are known as crypts of Lieberkühn. These are involved in host defense and signaling. The crypts of Lieberkühn contain goblet cells which secrete mucus. It protects the surface of the intestinal mucosa, helps lubricate the food, and holds immunoglobulins in place. Argentaphon, or enterochromaphon, or enteroendocrine cells, which synthesize, secretin and 5-hydroxytryptamine, that is, 5-HT, a powerful stimulant of intestinal motility. Large endocrine acidophilic Paneth cells, which secrete stimulant defensins, naturally occurring peptide antibiotics. Epithelial and Paneth cells are zymogenic. For example, they produce a great variety of enzymes, capable of digesting proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and nucleic acid. They also produce enterokinase, which activates trypsinogen-forming trypsin. The next important concept is intestinal juice. It is otherwise called succus entericus. Let us know about the composition and functions, crypts of Lieberkühn, which characterize the whole of the small intestine, continuously from the cell, which migrates up the villus, and secrete the intestinal juice, also called succus entericus. During digestion and absorption, the villi contract quickly with an irregular rhythm, and relax slowly. Their muscular fibers serve to pump the lymph from the core of the villus towards the submucosal lacteals. Fatty acids and glycerols are heavyweight and cannot enter venules directly, but are first transported to lacteals. Intestinal mucosa helps in the formation of chylomicrons, which is a fatty acid, triglycerides, phospholipids, cholesterol, and proteins. Lacteals are designed to absorb end products of fats. Absorption of amino acids, monosaccharides, minerals, vitamins, and drugs occurs by hepatic portal veins and sent to the liver. Enzymes are located in the luminal border of the epithelial cells. These are enterokinase, that is, enteropeptidase. It activates trypsinogen, proteolytic enzymes or erepsin, for example, aminopeptidase and dipeptidases. It converts protein into amino acids. Enzymes for splitting carbohydrates, for example, invertase, maltase, and lactase. The small intestine is divided into 3 main parts. They are the duodenum, the part closest to the stomach, the jejunum, the middle portion, and the ileum. The bottom section, which connects to the large intestine, or colon. Duodenum, it is the initial part of the small intestine. It receives partially digested food, that is, chyme, from the stomach. It has special submucosal mucus glands, which resemble gastric pyloric glands, or Brunner's glands. Their ducts empty into the crypts of Lieberkühn. They produce a large volume of thick alkaline mucus secretion, which probably helps to protect the duodenal mucosa from the gastric acid. Jejunum, it shows a progressive increase in the number of goblet cells and lymphoid tissue. Ileum, it means to roll, or coil. The lower 60% of the small intestine is called the ileum. Its main features are the goblet cells of the mucosa and lymphoid tissues reach their maximal density. It contains aggregated lymphatic follicles, known as Peyer's patches. The last important organ in the gastrointestinal tract is the large intestine. The large intestine is classified into a colon, rectum, and anus. The colon is further divided into ascending, transverse, and descending colon. The mucosal surface of the colon is smooth, for example, there are no villi on the mucosa. There are no plicae circulaires. Absorptive cells are abundant and are formed of simple columnar epithelium, which absorbs water, along with goblet cells, which secrete mucus, which helps lubricate the intestinal mass and neutralize the acid, which is formed by bacteria in the large intestine. Solitary lymph nodes are found in the ascending colon, especially in the cecum and appendix. The wall of the colon is usually folded into sacs by contraction of circular smooth muscle, thus producing sacculation. It contains outer longitudinal and inner circular layers of smooth muscle. The outer longitudinal layer is divided into 3 thick longitudinal bands, referred to as tenae coli. When these longitudinal bands, which form puckering, or outpouching called appendices epiploicae of the wall, between the tenae are cut, mucosal folds can be smoothed out. A major function of the large intestine is the absorption of water, some minerals, and vitamins, as the contents slowly move through the colon. No digestive enzymes are secreted in the colon. Defecation. The discharge of feces from the body, which is regulated by the following 2 types of anal sphincters. They are internal and external anal sphincters. Internal, or involuntary anal sphincter, it consists of the thickening of circular smooth muscles and pelvic rectal flexure. External, or voluntary anal sphincter, it consists of somatic skeletal muscle. Conclusion. The digestive system starts functioning as soon as the food touches the mouth and is ingested. The various organs work together to run this machinery. There are mechanical and chemical processes that work simultaneously to digest the food and provide energy to the body. All the steps in this process are necessary and important for this machine to run healthily. Summary. A group of organs working together to mix, grind, and convert food into energy and basic nutrients to feed the entire body is called the digestive system. The digestive system is made up of the gastrointestinal tract, that is, GI tract, or an alimentary canal, and accessory organs, which help in the process of digestion and absorption. GI tract is formed of primary digestive organs and accessory digestive organs. The stomach is a hollow muscular organ consisting of the following parts. They are the cardia, fundus, body, and pylorus part. The small intestine is divided into three main parts. They are the duodenum, the part closest to the stomach, the jejunum, the middle portion, and the ileum. The bottom section, which connects to the large intestine, or colon. The large intestine is classified into a colon, rectum, and anus. The colon is further divided into ascending, transverse, and descending colon.